Okay, there are two types of people in life. Those who try to record a 20-minute video with 8% left in their battery, and those who charge it and wait an hour and then lose motivation to record the video. So we're gonna go for it, and this will likely cut out in the middle. And I'm so sorry. Okay, so a few things I want to start off with. Number one, it is so hard to take a a YouTube thumbnail video because I recognize that I'm trying to be cute for it. You cannot try to be cute. Sorry, I be projecting on y'all. I cannot try to be cute. I just accidentally am sometimes. But when I try to be cute, I'm not cute. And that's why my thumbnails look the way they look. Okay, so the topic for this week's video is social anxiety, and then we'll see where the rest of it goes. I co-hosted a premiere of a good friend's show, Robert Hartwell. It's on HBO Max. It's called Breaking New Ground. You definitely want to check it out. 3 episodes have already been released, but I went to Atlanta for that tour stop. 3 more cities, Chicago, Great Barrington, and Dallas. And I said yes to the job before I felt yes in my body. And here's what happens when you are socially anxious. The day of the event, I arrived in town, and I was like, I felt like it was a full day thing, even though I didn't need to be ready until 5:30 p.m. Yeah, we called our Uber about 5:30 to get there by 6. And I felt like every hour up until that point was a countdown of that hour. I tried to play it off by just, pretending it was just an average day. But my Fridays are normally like there's nothing on the calendar. My Mondays and Fridays are really sacred. I try to start my week with like no energy exertion and end my week with no energy exertion. So in these cases where I make an exception, and usually it's for a flight, I'll like say that I'm okay to travel on a Friday if I'm going to a relaxing destination. But in this situation, it's for a friend. It's a one-time thing. It's one of those situations where if a friendship is cultivated on convenience, that's not an actual friendship. There are going to be times where you have to come outside of yourself and do things that push you and challenge you and grow you. And there was a year, I think it was a little bit after the pandemic, maybe 2021, where I had different agents knocking at my door, and it was like this path towards Hollywood, and I didn't desire fame, so I was very lackadaisical about the process, but they would bring me opportunities for hosting jobs. One manager in particular said, like, Chloe, you have a great speaking voice. I think you'd be a great host. Let's see what it would look like to get you on that path. And it sounded exciting in theory, but in practice, I was like, no. My body would shut down. And here's what I realized. And this is not the situation about Robert, but I'll get back to that situation in a second. But what I realized about hosting is that there's so much memorization when a lot of what I do has to feel natural and feel like flow and play. And when you are let's say about to present someone, which this happened, I was memorizing someone's credentials because I didn't have cue cards. And I think there was just 12 very specific awards, titles, or labels that I had to remember about them. And I remember this entire time thinking, if I get one thing wrong, 6-time Grammy nominated, but it's actually 7. I was just mortified at the thought that I wasn't respecting someone's, I wasn't giving them their due props and their flowers. And these were powerful people. So it just felt really scary to discredit someone when I know they worked really hard for something, but I'm just I was given the run of show 2 hours ago, and they don't care. You can't use that excuse. Ask me how I know. You just got to do what it takes. Hollywood is a very dog eat dog world. Everyone's eating shit. So you just got to not complain about your portion of shit. So anyways, I recognize at a very early run that I don't desire a path to Hollywood, even though I do see how lucrative and maybe exciting it could be. So I think I developed social anxiety slowly but surely. I think 2020 was a big part of it. The death threat, for those that don't know, very short recap is that I was emailed about someone being paid $30,000 to blow my head off, and that was their terminology. So I went into hiding, got the FBI involved. They did an investigation, but I was given very specific orders about what to do, where not to go, what not to do. And I felt like I was living under this very strict, in this box. And then I was also advised to not tell anyone because they weren't sure if it was like an inside job. So I was also like so alone in the process. And I think I had two people that I could trust, and like I kept them informed and stuff. And it was just really isolating and terrifying, and you just don't know who or where the threat is coming from. So I think that showed me that that taught me that like danger is out there, safety is in here. And there was a somatic practice that I did in therapy about just putting my hand on my heart and saying like, it can be safe to trust people. It can be safe to trust people. It can be safe to trust people. And I remember the first time I did it, I didn't believe it. So I was like, well, it should be safe to trust people. I hope it's one day safe to trust me. But it's like, it didn't work until I truly felt it in my bones. And I think I'm still like 4 years later trying to get my body to believe that safety can exist out there. So I say all that to say, hosting and being in the public is still like, takes a lot out of me. And so when I said yes to it, it was more of like instinctively to support someone versus knowing what I felt comfortable with. But here's why I'm so glad I said yes. Robert is a one of one human being. When I tell you, it's very easy to meet ambitious people, very easy to meet kind people, very easy to meet nerdy people, very easy to meet, I don't know, like these specific archetypes and character traits, very easy. But Robert, who he is, the level of positivity he embodies, the light he carries, he is one of one. And when you meet someone like that, you carry it well. You must carry the friendship well, and you respect them as a person, and you champion so much of what they do that it's not even a question when they ask for support, because they also rarely ask for help. So he's a one-of-one kind of person, and when you meet a one-of-one kind of person, you really want to honor the friendship and champion their work. So that's why it was like a no-brainer. And I even like changed my travel schedule to be able to accommodate it, because I knew that I wasn't even sure if I would be stateside. Anyways, what I love and what was like reinforced by going out there, I hope it's still recording. Thank God. I'm dropping some gems here. All right, we're 8 minutes deep. Okay, I have faith. That we got 5 more minutes left. I don't know. What I learned and what was reinforced from that is, man, it's a good feeling to be out in the public and to be in an intimate space. So obviously with it being a ticketed event, there is some level of like a barrier to entry. It's not just like the general public. And when you're in a space, in a room with people who like care about your story or care about this experience, or they're literally in the room to support one person's dream, there's already that level of like, man, these are great, solid people. And seeing that he's done this in 12 cities across the country, that's also no easy feat. It's very easy to build a name for yourself in one city, but to do it across the country, and I mean across the world, if I'm being honest, it's very admirable. And we had a few people like recognize Stefan and I, and that was so much fun. And just getting to meet your people in person. It's like, I don't know, these usernames and these comments, and they can feel so like, it starts to feel like nothing, like, because it takes such, I don't want to say little energy, but we're double tapping, scrolling, like our thumb is like in this motion all day, and it starts to feel like it's not an actual conversation, or there's no actual energetic exchange. So when you're in person with them face to face, and you're actually sharing stories, and you get to look them in the eye and affirm them, it was so beautiful. And we met such genuine, like heartfelt people. There was a moment that was so funny. Robert came to the stage and he's like scanning the audience for people he recognizes. And he sees Stefan, which he's meeting for the first time. And he was like, "Hi, Stefan." I was like, oh my gosh. And it was so funny because I'm like, is this our life now? Like, does Stefan precede me? Like, there is no conversation of Globe without the mention of Stefan. And I think he's still trying to reckon with like this level of like visibility. And there was a joke, how did it go? I don't know. Someone was asking about like, I don't know, something. He's like, well, you know, my life story is out there. Like, just go to, and he typed in my Instagram page for someone that wanted to reference him. It was just kind of funny, but he's so like laid back about it. And I'm so grateful that he doesn't have an ego either. Like, he's not like, oh yeah, tell me that, you know, he's very humble about all the attention that he gets. And it's adorable because you could see like it makes him shy, but he's also very appreciative of the kindness. So that was that. And when I think about, I'll just keep like looking back. When I think about all the areas of growth and all the ways that I want to challenge and push myself, none of it involves what I'm doing now. And I think that's a sobering truth for many of us. Like, it's been cozy and comfortable staying in our little bubbles and doing what's easy and simple. But there's a grand, beautiful, colorful life out there filled with our greatest dreams and deepest desires. But it's so scary to like take the steps to making it happen. And when I think about this apartment, even like, it's so comfortable. This view has never looked better than how it's looked in these last couple months, knowing that I'm gonna leave it very soon. And I'm just like, man, I really genuinely am gonna miss this place. Not because like, it's not the city, it's not the apartment itself, it's just what it brought me, what it meant for me, where it's taken me. Like, there's so much of I entered my 30s in this apartment during the pandemic. In 2020, I was like 3 months into this apartment and like no clue what was coming next. I think the world shut down 10 days before my birthday. And I just, and then I went viral 3 months after that. Like, 200,000 people discovering who I was at like a moment's notice. It felt like my world was turned upside down. And a lot of like, I don't know. I'm like having a conversation with myself and then trying to have a conversation with you all. So I apologize for the pause. I'm just thinking about some of the ways that like, there are things that I know I'm instinctively, naturally, or it's God-given, where it's like a gift, and that's leadership, expression, and integrity. And you're like, wait, how is integrity a gift? When you see how easy it is to be corrupt, you'll see. And the more I study, like, just whether it's through therapy, personality quizzes, human design chart, like, I just start to learn more about myself and my instinctive behaviors. I'm just like, okay, these are my gifts. Like, if I have creative genius and integrity and leadership as some of my God-given gifts, how am I actually stewarding it? What am I actually doing with it? And why am I still running away from some of them? So asking myself these questions have kind of brought me to this next phase of like growth and the growing pains that are pending when you take a step towards that path. And I think it's just that beautiful journey. Like, if we are all taking a step in that direction towards our best self, our highest potential, our greatest dreams, like how much better would the world be? And we all witnessed like what happened, was it yesterday, 2 days ago, of the assassination attempt, which I have to actually look. And it seems like in the world, there have been, in the last 50 years, only 5 years where there hasn't been an assassination attempt on a public leader or a public figure in government, which just goes to show that, like, I don't want to say this is par for the course, but my goodness, this world is hurting and we are broken. And how do we fix ourselves? And how do we take personal responsibility for the well-being of others? It can't just be this world. It can't just be a world that's all about our own selfish desires and we're not looking out for our neighbor. If one person was responsible for another person, not even in like parenthood, but in like neighborhood, like if we were just responsible for taking care of one neighbor, not financially, but emotionally and mentally, like how much better would we be off? And it's just, yeah, these are the questions I ask myself. And I know they're very existential and there are no answers. And oftentimes there's more questions than answers, which leads to a different level of like hopelessness sometimes. But I allow myself to go there because I know it leads to, I don't know, a pruning of thoughts, and it allows me to show up better and more intentionally on social media. And I'm always asking myself, like, how am I really using my platform for the greater good? This altruistic desire to like help humanity, like what am I doing this week for that? And I don't always like stay on that path, but I'm like just trying to be intentional with it little by little, wherever I can. And yeah, I've just been like really intentional about Bible study every morning, and it's been really beautiful to feel like spiritually armored every morning before I start my day. And I feel like it allows me to just cope with news a little bit better. So yeah, that's about it. And I am so glad and so thankful that this is still, we got a little dark there, but I'm glad that this is still running. And I guess I'll just keep talking until it cuts out. Just kidding. I also recognize that I have 2 more weeks. I'm not sure actually. 2 more weeks in the States, and then I'll head to Europe, and then I'll be in Africa, and then I'll be in Asia, and then I come back to the US probably the last month, probably in December for the holidays. So yeah. I can't believe this year is almost over. And I say that because I count my months by trips, or I judge my year by the trips. So when I think about how many trips I have left that take me into December, it's just gonna fly. And it's really, really crazy and amazing and wild, because time is such a fascinating concept. The older you get, the quicker it goes by, but it feels so meaningful in the moment. It's like, I guess all of our question is, how do we slow down time? Like, that's everyone's challenge. What can I do to slow down time, to make the most of the present, to show up fully and engage with my surroundings so that I'm not constantly looking forward to the next thing, but I'm like appreciating what's in front of me. I just finished week 4 of the mid-year makeover, and what a journey and what incredible humans. And one of the things that we talked about, we talked about a handful of things, but one thing by Alex Hormozy was brought up, a quote that said, if you want to be rich, solve rich people's problems. And so one person was like, well, Glo, what's your problem? Very smart, by the way. I was telling them, when you ask $1 million question, you get $1 million answer. So I don't coach to the level of the investment. I coach to the level of the questions. So it was a great question because I literally got to feed her like an answer of what I'm looking for and what I need, which I don't know if I should say it here. I gotta keep some stuff, some stuff for myself. But yeah, it was beautiful because I think more than anything, what we need is no longer material. Like most of like what rich people need is like, it's not esoteric, but it's something that can't be touched or felt. It's not a material thing anymore. You'll get to a point in your life where you can afford every material thing you've ever desired. And then what? If you're still feeling empty, if it's still not enough, you recognize that it's like the things that mean the most to us don't have a physical shape or form. So it was really great to like go down a rabbit hole answering that question, because it was very resonant. I'm like, oh, I've been thinking about this for a while. Like, yes, absolutely. This is, not only do I need it, but I know so many of my peers, successful people that are doing really well, who need it. And it's this constant journey of like, how can I cultivate this for myself? How can I create it for others? All that kind of stuff. Okay, feel like I'm rambling and we're at the 20-minute mark. Look at God looking out for me. Okay, it's been fun. I hope y'all have a beautiful week. I hope you're enjoying your summer. And yeah, I will see you next week for another mediocre update from Glow.